That's right, folks. It's once again the least suicidal time of week. A new episode of the One Piece Virgin Eggheads Book Club podcast. Yes! I am your captain of the measly crew, Mumkey D. Jones, here to cover volume 73 of Dressrosa, covering chapters 722 to 731. But I'm not alone. As always, I'm joined by your vice captain, Eggy V. Rodriguez.
You know, they're trying to poach me this week to join the beautiful pirates, but listen, you know what? I'm more that low Kirk where I like to sit back and get the berries, the fame, you can keep it. Thank you very much.
I'm trying to get revenge on my neighbor who was loud with his shovel that one time. I'm trying to now yell so that he can hear us in his house on, we're recording this on Christmas Eve, so hopefully his whole family's there to hear me screaming like a retard.
That's most gracious. You know, he was interrupting you, but you're providing him what is surely the greatest entertainment that his family will receive this evening.
Yeah, many people pay $3 to hear this on Christmas Eve, but he gets it for free, so if anything, he owes me $3 for hearing that. I should also mention, my hat thought isn't even about the manga, but I am feeling a bit like Sanji today, and by that I mean, and I'm saying this as a warning to the audience, not to brag about my great life, but I did wake up and I was like, God damn, I don't want to get out of bed. It's like, what, 7 a.m.? I haven't hardly gotten any sleep. I don't want to get out of bed yet, but my nose feels like it's running. Oh my God. Fucking nasty snot mucus. I guess I'll get up and blow my nose. So I've been awake less than 30 seconds. Mind is not even operational yet. It turns out it was not snot. Something horrible has happened in my body, and like horrible dark blood is gushing out, but I don't know it's blood at the time. I think I just need to blow my nose. So I grab tissue, blow out as hard as I can, and blood explodes all over my face and chest and is just dripping horribly nonstop. And I'm barely awake, and now my whole body and face is covered in blood, and I don't know what's going on. And it has been a steady stream of blood ever since. We're recording this at about 1 p.m., and I keep blowing my nose and filling it up with the tissue up with blood. So if you're queasy, maybe I'll give a warning. Maybe I'll try to edit out any disgusting things that happen to me, but we're having a Sanji, Fishman Island kind of day.
Well, I don't know if there's any characters out there that quite fit the bill for me. This won't be anything visible for the audience, but I was just coughing up a little bit of blood from hacking my lungs out from whatever head cold thing I had going on. But, I'm trying to get myself together for Christmas Eve so that my grandmother doesn't be like, I'm going to be around old people. I can't be doing too much of that, so I'm trying to mind over matter it. We're trying to keep as much of our fluid contained today, people, as possible. But just like Oda said in SBS for, I think, like 724, it's so hard to not draw a nip slip on Rebecca, so there's a lot of things we got to keep in, and control ourselves about as best we can.
Can we do the math on Rebecca's age? That we have Oda literally talking about how he would like to see a nip slip of this character in the SBS in this volume? I do have the answer if you would like to hear it, Eggy.
Well, I just did a quick parsing myself, and I think we could all agree, and the audience probably could understand this immediately as well. I will tell you the age is lesser than the number 18 in any case.
I believe Rebecca's canon age is 16, which is probably the AOC, the Alexia, whatever the fuck, Ocasio-Cortez in Japan, I think is 16, so it's still not a good. Why is Oda writing this? Doesn't he choose which questions he's going to answer? Of all things, he needed to publish that.
2013, it was a different time. Did the SBSs release when the actual chapters did, or did the SBSs come along with the volume release?
They're volume exclusive.
All right, so 2014, it was a different time. It was. What can you say?
He said 2014, drop the 20, and that's all you need.
That was when I was looking up the Avatar lore, because somebody was saying about how all the Avatar women in the new movie were ugly, and I was like, oh, that Kiri though, I don't know, I like her. She got like kind of some quirky hair going on, and then I think like her initial canonic reported age was not 18, so I was like, well, I mean, that was like 16 years ago. The movies, I don't know, different years, but in any
She's
case,
played by
mistake
Sigourney
being made.
Weaver, who is 70 years old. So if anything, you're a reverse pedophile. You're interested in the actress. If the actress is 70, you can't say Eggy's anything other than a sicko in a different way.
That's right. I'm reverse Epstein. My island's in the sky, just like Sky Pia, baby. That's right.
So Eggy, I gave my hat thoughts. Do you have any hat thoughts, or should we go to top of mind? Da, 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 da.
Well, I feel like this is vague enough to be a hat thought. It's like kind of overreaching over things that we've gone over so far. But damn, that Doflamingo is one cold mudder. I don't know. I mean, I guess I knew that already, but this volume really nailed it in even more. I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe it didn't feel quite as personal before, but that's going to be my hat thought. This guy, he's...
Are you referring to the King Riku puppeteering, perhaps? Is that the moment that is sticking out to you?
Well, I'm going to assume that he's behind some other things that are going on here as well. I think that might be explicitly stated as such, but it's not my top of mind, though. I have a real top of mind.
To play Doflamingo's advocate, it was his family's throne 800 some odd years ago, okay? They took a break from being on it, and now he wants it back. And Riku, he had to pay the price.
Well, they proposed good business. I feel like, Riku, he did what he could. He established a central bank. He started, letting Doflamingo print the money for his country and lend it to him at an interest rate. It is what it is.
And the most fucked up thing, I'm sure we could go into this probably half an hour into this podcast and go for 20 minutes, or I'm going to make it my hat on a hat right now because it's important. This system of reparations is fucking insane. Listen, folks, I don't know if you remember, if you're just like some anime only who fell asleep watching Dressrosa and you're just listening to the podcast for fun. Here's the system of reparations set up by the king. All the Rikus in the last 800 years agreed to this and kept this going. The Doflamingo, the Don Quixote royal family, they tricked these stupid, gullible tantaras 900 years ago into being some slaves. And then when the Rikus took over after the Void Century, they said, okay, here's the deal. Reparations will be paid indefinitely, forever. So in the modern day, you're still getting reparations because your ancestors were slaves 800 years ago, which in my opinion is a little extreme. But here's what the reparations are. At any point, you can go into human civilization and steal anything you want, and they just have to live with it. We're not going to arrest you. If anything, we'll, catch and release 1,800 times. Go on and keep stealing and looting whatever you want from these poor humans, and then go back to your ghetto over on Greenbit with all of our stuff. For 800 years, the king said this is acceptable because there was slavery 800 years ago, Eggy.
Really, when you think about it, it's quite the feat that they weren't just rolled over much sooner. Like, they could have gone like 10 years like this and had to just be a complete wasteland. So maybe it speaks to the Tontata. Maybe, maybe it's there, but maybe they're not really snatching. We saw them do that maybe to prove the point when the Straw Hats reached Dressrosa, but maybe it's really not like that. Maybe it's really like some universal basic income situation. They got enough what they need. They're illiterate. They're over there with their flowers, dancing around, having a good time. I feel like that would really be the only way, unless these people were very lobotomized, in which case, after getting horribly robbed and tortured and murdered by their own king in a horrible puppetry situation. That's kind of how the world goes sometimes. If you don't have any natural, sense of danger or common sense of any kind, and you're no defense, no survival mechanisms or
Eggy, I'm lost in your riddle here. Are you in support of this system of reparations because your ancestors were slaves 800 years ago, so you can steal anything you want from everybody else. Are you speaking in favor of this idea?
It's I'll call this my final take on it. I think that they probably got tired of stealing at some point, and that's what made it okay. Like I don't think they
when Zoro gets his sword stolen, and we could argue they're only stealing weapons because they're having their big revolution, impromptu revolution against Doflamingo today because of him leaving the throne, but it was all a trick, whatever. But when Zoro's sword is stolen, people explain it, oh, that must have been the fairies. Yeah, they steal stuff all the time. So they're used to it as their common everyday life experience, even before Zoro's sword was taken.
I just feel like, it's like in a game where if you like put in the cheat codes to get all the weapons or all the armor or whatever, you get bored of it. Like, oh, I have everything, so you don't want to even play it anymore because you play it it's like it feels great for a minute, but then you don't really have anything further to do. So I feel like they couldn't have been going that hard on the thievery. Maybe just like some like person in a tunnel somewhere, stealing a loaf of bread here and there as necessary and not being punished. Is it right? It does seem a bit extreme, but that's the only way that I'm going to rationalize it, is that it had to be very minimalized.
It's subtle and delightful thievery that is not, they're not stealing candy from babies or food from the homeless. It's just, maybe you have an excess of something and the fairies help even the score in a way with their reparations for that terrible slavery.
And I mean, could they have been that good of slaves? I mean, they're really small, like they're flying around on ants and flies and stuff like that. I mean, what?
They're very strong. They punch the ground and it's like Sakura post time skip and it just cracks everything. One other important aspect that I think maybe people overlook is that with this system of reparations, the Tantaras also keep the flower population of Dressrosa alive, and the humans don't have to do any farming or cultivating or watering or anything. Like, it's basically just magical fields of flowers everywhere that I guess in the last decade since Doflamingo took over have maybe mostly declined. I don't know, was that part of it, other than this main sunflower field that we're all meeting at?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that has had something to do with his with the toy factory and him, like his operations and the freakishness that's been going on. I think it's had sort of this adjacent effect of kind of like a cancerousness on the surrounding area.
So the idea here is that being looted all the time as reparations is an okay thing because they're enriching the culture with their beautiful flowers, with the artwork that they're contributing to make society a more beautiful place. So Dressrosa is actually, it was a paradise before Doflamingo and Sugar, the toy maker, came.
I mean, it would seem so. That's a lot of years, a lot of centuries to kind of keep things going, and it seems like from what we learned in this volume, people didn't have too much bad to say until that fateful day.
I think that was probably my top of mind, that I usurped the throne from Eggy this volume, which I think is appropriate. And he does not have 5 billion, was it 10 billion berries? 5 billion berries?
10 billion berries.
So Eggy, what's your top of mind?
They're saying that my boy from the land of garbage, he's alive. Bum, bum, bum. Maybe the
Ace?
absolute last. What's that?
Ace is back?
I don't think, well, that's not how I took it. Because I don't think he's back.
What the hell?
Although, come to think of it, I suppose maybe that could be. But
not if his devil fruit's here. That'd be insane. What's next? Smiley's back?
Could be reincarnated without a fruit, I guess. I'm thinking that just based on the last few panels of this volume, which has Luffy saying like, oh, he was supposed to be dead. I can't believe he's alive. It shows the 3 bowls from back in the day, the bowls of Luffy, Ace, and Sabo.
I'm losing my mind over here for those who are not watching because they're afraid of blood.
My boy Sabo coming home. Oh, He's probably a toy, I'm guessing. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe, but I guess they couldn't have just seen him if that was the case. But whatever the trickery is,
If he was a toy, Luffy wouldn't even recognize him.
Yeah, that's true. My mind was just quickly pivoting into like, why would he be here? But I guess there's a lot going on here on Dressrosa. So if Sabo has had the capability to make it this far, I suppose it's not so unusual that he'd be showing up here.
So in the very final pages, and it might have been confusing, like who was talking to who, we see Koala, that little girl from the Fishman Island flashback. She's now an adult or close to it, and her title was Revolutionary Army Fishman Karate Expert. So I can only imagine who taught her Fishman Karate. And she is talking to this mystery person who I guess we will agree is Sabo here. So we can infer Sabo is here as part of the Revolutionary Army on a mission with Hack, the Fishman Karate guy, and Koala. Now we know why she's in that goddamn video game. She's actually a character.
That's right.
And she takes up 3 fucking spots for Bikini Freaks. This fucking useless character I don't care about. I mean, no, Koala's great. Definitely won't be B tier on my tier list in 6 months.
You know, the first couple glimpses we see here, she's looking pretty fine, I ain't gonna lie. Like, she's kind of got like a more of like a, I don't want to say chubby face, but like a softer face, maybe a little more of a wide jaw than maybe the other girls are drawn. They're usually kind of pointy, so I think she's looking pretty good. You know, it's that's what I base all of my opinions on immediately. So far, and she went through a lot too.
I'm only attracted to women if I know they were a child slave. So based on that, yeah, Koala, she can get it. So what was your top of mind then?
Well, just the possibility
of
that
Sabo's
back was definitely up there for me. It's just how I felt, you know, because there was a lot going on in this volume, a lot of very emotionally provocative things, a lot of action, but I just can't overlook that. You know, I when there's certain people and I think certain things happen to them and I don't know for sure, and there's any kind of inclination, even if it's going to end up being a big cloud of smoke, some smoke and mirrors, I get fixated on that, just like in the circus house, and stick it to it, top of mind.
Eggy, I have a new segment for us for when we don't have any new members to give roles to. I decided to treat the members we already do have, so I made a new channel in our Discord that anybody can join who becomes a member of this YouTube channel. It's called Questions for Virgin, where people can post questions that the Virgin should answer based on where we are in the story right now.
Oh, I like it.
And I got a shit ton of questions. Maybe we'll do like 2 or 3 right now and then more at the end of the show, just so we can get back to the volume sooner than later. But I think people like hearing these kinds of questions. And I'll just read them in the order they came in, because I didn't pre-read these. I'm sure all of these fine paid crew members would ask thoughtful, good questions. Corey says, Eggy, I'm grateful for you accepting to take part in this journey with us. Ever since Mumkey got me into One Piece, I felt that the One Piece I had been missing was someone to share this great story with, since I have no one in my life vaguely interested in making the commitment you made. My question is, if you were reading One Piece on your own, untelevised, would you continue? Are you invested? If so, at what point would you say you made that decision?
I feel like probably after maybe... for sure by like Arlong Park, but I want to say it was maybe like the first dozen volumes or so. Then I think it's when I kind of started locking in kind of autopilot, and if I was doing this on televised, I probably would have done large swaths of reading like 10 volumes in a 2-day period or something like that, and then I might have burned myself out. I could see like the possibility of something like that happening, where I like just gorge myself so much and then end up like putting it down and needing something to get me back to it. It's probably what would have happened, but at the same time, it is very interesting and very addicting. I think I might have done a Heartsy and really just kept on chugging along and burned it all out real quick.
very few people in the audience have had the discipline to keep on pace with us, and many get addicted and read way ahead and then are just listening to us as we come out. But I think very few people, though, maybe a handful, are actually sticking to it like you are, gruelingly have to week by week when you desperately want to know what happens next and you just have to wait for it. But I think this is the way. One volume per week. Very few people probably do it this way, but it feels right.
If anybody out there is of the mindset like that, if they are keeping pace with us and they want to move forward, what I would say, what I keep in mind myself personally is think of how many like months were between these volumes when they were actually being released and how people had to wait. And I think of how much they had to suffer. I'm only having to go week by week, so I'm really that's like an exceptional treat. For me, it's like, you know what, moderation is good with things sometimes. There's a lot of stuff in life I've employed no moderation in, like eating, drinking, and that's not always the best at the end of the day. So sometimes moderation can give you more joy than binging.
I think the math is every week we read stuff that took 4 months to release. So, and having been caught up for, 5 or 6 years now, it sometimes is grueling, and maybe I need to reread, like, even the current arc that we're in, because it's been years since it began. There's probably so much I forgot.
You will get there.
The Poopy Doopy, yeah, we're going to be there real soon, probably. Like, what is the math on that? Like, September, maybe? Before September?
That's right.
Poopy Doopy, what has your favorite cover story been so far, and what are your predictions for future cover stories? And we did finish one today with Poor Caribou. Punished for being a hero.
I will just say, since you mentioned it, I don't think Caribou is one of my more favorite ones. I think there's something about his freakish nature that's very off-putting to me.
That's why I love him. He's like a Bartolomeo with no redeeming quality until this cover story.
Well, okay, that is fair to give him that extra bit of complexity, extra depth to chew on. But I guess what probably keeps on sticking in my mind is like the Wapo cover story, something where we really saw a former villain and kind of going through this rags to rich thing, getting pissed on by a dog. Eneru on the Moon might be one of the top tier, to be honest, just because you really get a lot out of that. You get a lot of, like, it's like a peek into like a secret chamber that nobody's supposed to see. Like all this other stuff, yeah, there's a lot of things that we're seeing that we don't normally see a lot of, maybe in the main story. But Eneru on the Moon, I think, is really some exceptional stuff. I like the Hachi story quite a bit. It's got a good relatable moral. Like, yeah, he's out here on his come up. He's trying to flex for the babes, but at the end of the day, he ends up doing what he needs to do for those in need. And that's even before we got back to Sabayoti and kind of get a temperature check on his character and kind of get a little bit more behind him and about how he's not such a bad guy at all anyway. I mean, not that he was, but you know what I mean.
He was just following orders. Anybody who can use that excuse must be a pretty good guy deep down, right, Eggy?
I completely 100% agree and avow it with every fiber of my being, because, I mean, if we don't have order, then what do we have, folks? We're nothing more than hairless monkeys.
Yeah, that's why we tell 5-year-olds in school to pledge their allegiance to the flag. Like, whoever the leader is, you have to do what they say. You just pledged your allegiance to this fucking cloth that represents your president. Get fucked. My answer is the Dex of the World is still my favorite because it gives us updates on all of our favorite side characters 2 years later. See their new careers and just what they look like a little bit older. And that's what One Piece is not all about, not mostly about, but largely about for me. There's just so many beloved characters in my mind, and I want to see what they're up to.
Yeah, that would probably be like my second choice, maybe. There's just something very captivating about Enter Around the Moon. I don't know if I even got to derive the most pleasure from it, but I feel like I said, it's like one of those stars that comes by like every 20 years or something that in the sky. You just want to keep your eye on it and like look out for it because it's just something so unique and spectacular. So I think for me, I'm going to pick that one.
One Piece is a story of 100 Chekhov's guns that are waiting to all go off in the final 200 chapters. And I think Eneru on the Moon is the one that Oda wants us all to forget about because it was so long ago and it's never been brought up again in any way, that I think he wants it to be like so far in the back of our minds that maybe it's irritating. Guys like us are constantly waiting for him to come back because it is very intriguing, and perhaps the One Piece will end up being on the moon, or maybe the moon is one of these missing ancient weapons, like a fucking Death Star. It could be literally a fucking Death Star that shoots a laser and blows up the planet. We don't know.
Giga Fujitora is going to activate Giga Gravity. It's going to pull the moon in with Eneru on it.
Oh, yes! Oh, he awakens his fruit to get like ultra giga gravity. Yes. Pooh, yes! Eggy! Oh my god, the end of One Piece could have so many great moments. And you just know, when he puts the fucking jacket fruit in chapter 720, you know it's because in chapter 1400 he has a fucking great idea for it that's gonna pay off. You have to know, people. You have to know when Wano ends and you're disappointed that Toki's fruit didn't have some great revelation. It's coming, folks. The story ain't over, as they would say in all those bands.
Marcus Martian landed on the branch like 6 months ago, whatever the fuck that was. Remember that? Remember giving me a spoiler that had nothing.
You remind me what the spoiler was. Did you get it right?
Yeah, they land on the branch.
Who does?
Marcus Martian or some shit like that. I can't remember the name actually. Odysseus.
Marcus Martian lands on a giant branch.
My third guess would be the name started with R. I feel like M-O or R.
No. S and G. But
Winking giblets, that's right.
Yeah, so even when these characters are introduced, you're not going to know that they're going to land on a giant branch because you don't remember who does it. Heartsy wants to know who's better at the One Piece fighting games between you and Mumkey.
Mumkey absolutely kicks my butt up and down, sideways, and also in both diagonal formats.
Well, however, it's about time we get back into Burning Blood. We know everybody in there now.
I did play some of the campaign recently. I might have mentioned this on the last episode maybe, but it actually tells you the controls, and I think you were saying how the controls don't seem to line up between platforms, maybe even game modes. It's like they're changing.
That's what I feel.
But at least it was a good refresher for me because I think I was just straight button matching before. Rob Lucci in the game for me has an exceptionally much higher level than everybody else because he had one spammable, undodgeable attack that I was using to clear a bunch of bonus stages.
Did you have to buy him as DLC?
I believe I have the DLC. I can't remember if I needed to for him or not. But I got I think I happened to think about getting it on Steam, and it just happened to be a Steam sale like when I was looking at it, so it was like 80% off for everything. So I treated myself on that day.
Yeah, I bought all the DLC for the PlayStation version. Do you have Caesar Clown?
I believe I should. I don't. See, the thing is that I think I need to clear more things in the game to unlock more things.
Well, Caesar Clown you have to buy, so you either have him or you don't.
Then I absolutely should.
Okay, so we'll be prepared for the Caesar v. Luffy rematch, Mumkey and Eggy style. And one last question before we get back to the volume, and probably start with that poor caribou story. Yag Yu-chan wants to know, which non-human race from One Piece would you choose to be?
Hey, listen, I mean, it is what it is, but I'm loving them giants. You know what? Caesar and Vagabond, they had the right idea. You know, maybe it's because I've spent too many years of my life on redpill.com where everybody's trying to get taller and taller and bigger and bigger. But once I realized that, you know, that I'm a big man, I don't know, like I never had the realization, I never used my largeness. Maybe I needed to get fatter first, just like there's many other benefits that I've found for being fat. You know, you're satiated by all the grease that's just running around your brain all the time. You just don't think about anything like that bothers you in the world anymore.
Well, I want to break it down for you, because the giants, they live much longer than humans, maybe 3 or 4 times longer, so 300 or 400 years you'll live. But you look at people like Dory and Brogy, who have a sense of pride and honor so intense that they have no choice but to duel each other multiple times a day for 100 years, and they literally don't remember what they're fighting about. So you have like a mental impairment, a long life, but it could be bogged down in pointless dueling and battles of pride that are meaningless and a waste of time. Like, do you want to sacrifice your sanity and brain power for a long life and a big body?
Yeah, that completely is acceptable to me. Absolutely, yes.
Dory and Brogy seemed pretty happy. They were smiling up until Mr. 3 came and blew up their shit.
It was like there was a point in my life where I just, my overwhelming urge for violence began to like kind of get squashed by aging. And I tell you, I mean, it's probably like a good thing, don't get me wrong, but there's something about waking up and wanting to fight everybody you see every single day. It's like, it gives you a little zest for life. So yeah, I don't know, maybe this zest going to last 100 years. Hard to say, but it's a chance that I'd be willing to take. And when it versus like Fishman or being a Toradora, a Totoro, you know, our small height challenge friends, well, they do have some very sexy bees. So, and if I'm a giant, I can't be doing
Did you
nothing
call
with
them
that,
a Ton Totoro? Like My Neighbor Totoro?
I said Toradora first.
Okay.
Yeah, the letters, they're in there somewhere.
Ton Tata, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. It kind of sounds Hispanic in a way.
Yeah, tortilla.
In this weird Spain place. Let's talk about Caribou, because we come to the end of his cover story. Let's begin with the end in mind, Eggy. Who do you want to see next in the cover story?
Let's see here. Well, I think the giant children from Punk Hazard, and they're reintegrating back into their normal lives.
Smoker's Daycare Service. Eggy is calling his shot right here. The traveling on the Navy ship with all the kids, and Smoker like rolling his eyes as he is wearing an apron, serving them gruel or whatever the fuck. Okay, some good stuff could be in there.
I could see it like this, like we cut to the Navy bringing the children back, and like the kids are all still very fond of the Straw Hats. They start like designating themselves as like different Straw Hat like members, like they're all dressing up as Straw Hats. They come back, maybe they get into like a little bit of like a, you know how you got like Muppet Kids, Scooby-Doo Pups or whatever, they had all these spin-offs in the 90s, like the kids versions of established characters. We could have baby giant Straw Hat adventures back on their homeland. That's what I want to see.
I was trying to think of all the great side characters from Fishman Island and Punk Hazard. Like, which one could I possibly want to see more of? Nothing came to mind. Like, I
could have thought maybe
I want to see Jinbei, but we know we'll see Jinbei one day.
Homeboy Yoke Man of the Big Mom crew, but
he's right here.
That's right, yeah.
And he's back for a vengeance, or with a vengeance. He's pissed.
So there might have been a little bit of off-screen explosion, just like when there was buildings detonated once upon a time that no planes hit. That was also off-screen. Either way.
So Caribou the hero, pretending to be Garbaru the hero, he fucking drains the factory in the swamp. Instead of draining the swamp, as some fake heroes promised us, this man's using a swamp to drain the capitalists, and he's seen as the greatest hero in the island's history. But then he gets bitten by a T-Rex. Did you see this coming, Eggy?
Not at all. No, like was there any inclination ever that this Maybe there was, and I just happened to skim by it. Maybe it didn't seem particularly relevant at the time, but
Well, we did see this T-Rex on Sabaody fight against Kizaru, I believe. Maybe. From our dear friend
Okay.
Diaz Drake. Not
Oh,
X
yeah.
Drake, but Diaz Drake.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. I only now just put that together.
That was him?
Yeah, which I knew that because it shows him after the fact dragging Caribou, but I don't know. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know. I was like, well, why is he here? I totally spaced it. Maybe it's this head cold I have going on, but I'm glad that you put that together for me.
It's been 1 week since we read. No, it's been about, what, 25 volumes since Diaz Drake was relevant, so I could see why you would forget him. But, yeah, do we know who he's working for, what he's doing, why he would care about this factory being destroyed?
I mean, I suppose it could have been another one of Big Mom's factories or something like that that he. I'm not sure. I don't know. Nothing. But I guess I was a little impaired on digesting this cover story correctly, anyhow. So there might have been something else that was pointing some information out that I didn't happen to catch.
There's a good chance we don't know, but Diaz Drake, one of the Supernova, has easily captured Caribou. I guess he had hockey-infused T-Rex teeth, because I don't know how you bite into a swamp, but I guess he's using some masterful armament hockey here to capture Caribou. And the old lady, who some might say is Kaido's mom, gives Caribou another meat pie, huh? This meat pie that I said is legendarily important? Now he has a second one? I mean, even I forgot about the second meat pie. My God. And what's his final message before he's dragged onto his ship and taken away from everybody? Something about, like, always honor the grandma. That's the lesson he learned here.
Hey, you know what? I guess maybe it still speaks a little bit to his self-serving feelings, but he did eat the whole factory. So I mean, you know, he maybe her and the kindness that she showed him in a way that maybe it changed him a little bit, at least in the here and now.
I think it changed him a lot because here's the story. He wakes up in this old lady's house, and for all we know, she actually thinks this is, like, she's senile and thinks this is Gabaru, but as the very final panel tells us, Gabaru's grave is, like, in her backyard, and she knew the whole time, but she was just treating him as if it was her grandson, because she's a kind-hearted person. And he could have ditched her and never came back, but when the big robot man, Scotch, came in, he made the choice to go protect her and become a hero for everybody. He could have ditched when his whole crew pulled up, but I think that's his character arc. He made the choice to be the hero, and this old lady changed him, and his parting words being, you know, something kind about grandmas when he was robbing this old lady an hour earlier. That's pretty big, and now he's being punished for his heroic deeds, and I can't wait to see what becomes of Caribou in the future. Will he still be a horrible bastard, or is he permanently a changed man? Because right now the lesson he's learning is no good deed goes unpunished.
It's so true. And I guess, you know, it's really no secret that I've just had, I don't know, some kind of like knee-jerk revulsion towards Caribou. So maybe I didn't want to really give the weight to his character arc here in this cover story that he deserved. But that is very true, yeah, with Scotch and with taking up the mantle of the revolution for the workers.
Gabaru! Yeah. And, you know, any predictions on when we'll see him again and what he'll be up to?
Well, there's one thing I know about Caribou. He's a slippery and slick fellow. You know, he might be captured now. Maybe they got him on some sea prison stone sort of contraption on the Drake ship. But I would like to think that just as some of our other villains that we've seen in these cover stories go through their character arcs in the past, that maybe we could have like a little bit of like a Buggy situation where he's gonna end up slipping out of his imprisonment, be back in the world, and maybe have a little more to think about, a little more, I don't want to say morality, but just be a wider horizoned person and have a little more to bring than just sucking up any bit of money or women that happens to fall in front of his swampy abilities.
Eggy, where should we go in the volume from here? Because we have a lot of characters and a lot of storylines, and we could go chronologically, but today I want to know what most piques your interest.
Well, I guess probably I did enjoy, if I want to talk about the combat, I think funny and silly enough maybe, we have Block D and we have Rebecca, being our queen, our favorites to win. I really enjoyed how she never actually attacks anybody. She just sidesteps and dodges as they throw themselves at her, which then causes them to all ring out. Gave me some heavy fighting game vibes.
I was going to ask, is there any fighting game where you can win by not attacking?
I would use that a lot in certain stages in like Soul Calibur, because I feel like I'd fight Astaroth a lot. Like Astaroth was a hard counter for me. I think I can't remember. I played a few different characters, but he would have like this sort of heavy, like almost like a stun lock kind of thing where he would like knock you down and you'd have like all this like down your character and you just fall down, and it was very irritating. Or Siegfried, these heavy characters with this range, and I would just kind of try and bait them with like mid-range kicks or something and just repeatedly push them off the edge. There was a couple of stages that I don't remember the names of immediately, but I would try and trend towards these stages that had like small stage area to where I like to play agile, more mid-range characters and kind of like jump around and just kind of get to push to the edge. And that's not even what she does. She literally just is all baiting, and I don't know. I think of like Smash Bros. And like Captain Falcon or somebody like, rushing towards the edge and falling off, or Marth and Roy, I think. Can't remember. It's been some years since I played Melee or Brawl, but...
Would Undertale qualify if you're doing a pacifist run? You just like dodge all the attacks and you somehow win?
Suppose that's true, yeah. I would... on the RPG tip. I don't know if I ever ended up playing through Undertale in my life, to be honest, but I am familiar with the run of which you speak, however.
So your third top of mind was based Rebecca with no nip slips, unfortunately for Oda. Just dodging and ducking and diving, and she... some people recognize her and know the true tragedy of Dressrosa, and this big hulking, I think, woman is assisting her. So at least she has somebody who can knock people out other than dodging and ducking and weaving. And using the momentum of their attacks against them to fling them into the fighting fish.
Yeah, they're there to be a ring out hazard, of course, but yeah, it kind of helps, I would say, because it is still very difficult if you have like zero offensive ability. You can try and do these strategical and tactical moves to get a victory, but zero offensive ability is pretty hard. Like usually you want to have at least being able to do like one punch or kick or something to kind of seal the deal, but
she's a lover, not a fighter. She's not like these beautiful women who will stab you in Dressrosa, okay, Eggy? The princess is built different. Eggy, can we go to the mural in chapter 722 that I've been teasing for a couple weeks now because I couldn't remember when it pops up? But I want us to take a closer look at this together. Giola's mural on the Thousand Sunny. We have an open eye and a closed eye that's crying. This like round, kind of looks like Blue from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends shaped person is reaching out and blocking the sun that's right in the middle. And Chopper's head is on this figure. And I think, well, Chopper, what do we know about him? He has the human fruit. Maybe that's relevant. On the other side, in the crying, closed eye darkness, we have Nami on some sort of figure here.
Yeah, like kind of got like a Picasso-looking skull. I guess Chopper does too, but it kind of looks a little more noticeable with Nami because Chopper's got his hat on with some giant angel wings coming out of it.
Can we get any clue what the figure of Nami is supposed to be, or is it as abstract as the Chopper Blue?
All right, folks, this is gonna be my breakdown. You know, I watched 1,000 hours of Illuminati Facebook videos in the year 2011, so I got this. Boom. So we got Chopper on the left side with the open eye, and he's trying to block out the sun because you see Chopper, he's hip to the truth, but if everybody knew what he knew, he would no longer have his medical profession. So he needs to block out some of that truth there and maintain his own presence. He's got his rabbits to the side of him. These are people that, you know, are like happen to maybe be in the mix with him as he was being educated. They can't be cut out. They know a little too much. So we're going to keep him in the mix there. And that's what the swirl is here. This is like the vortex. So they're going to stay in his orbit, right? But on the other side, we have Nami. The eyes closed. It's teardrops coming down. Why is that? Nami, she went through a lot of grief as a child. She went through a lot of loss. And what does she love? She loves money. Okay, what is money? Money is a fabricated thing. Okay, the only thing that's real in this world is if you need to be able to feed and clothe yourself and get some water to drink. Necessities are the real wealth. All this paper and these berries or whatever, that's only because people say, oh, I'm going to accept that as money. So she's not woke. Her inner third eye is closed. It's shut down. And her soul, maybe consciously or subconsciously, is grieving this because she's not awake. And you see the arms coming in. They're not reaching even to the sun. They're kind of like off to the side because she thinks she's trying to guard something that is true knowledge, true awakening, true meaningful to her, but she's in the dark. She's reaching out and she's grabbing for something that she doesn't even know what she's grabbing for. She thinks she does, but she doesn't. Okay.
And right below Nami is Viola or Giola celebrating this art, and we'll get to Momo and Brooke in a second. But if I recall, Giola 1 or 2 volumes ago accused them of calling her like a mermaid or something, right? Like, are you saying I'm a beautiful mermaid princess or something like that? They're like, no, we didn't fucking say that, you freak. And her dress here gives the illusion of like mermaid shape. You can't see her legs. It looks like a tail, really. Like, he went out of his way to not even draw her feet here. So, yeah. Perhaps this is like a mermaid princess represented by Nami in some way. And then Momo down here, he has a crown on, so this is some sort of king, but he's crouched like this, like in the fetal position, sort of. Like he's terrified and scared of what's going on. And Momo, his dream is to be the shogun, so maybe he represents royalty in a way in this art here. And Brooke, he has an angel wing coming out of one side, and then it looks like, I don't know, like fucking lightning or something going crazy through him. I don't know what's going on there, but he's literally a reborn person with the soul fruit, or no, revive fruit, whatever fucking, he has soul powers. So maybe that's what the angel wing represents, is somebody brought back from the dead. And
I think this too, like with Brooke on his side, he's on that awakened side with Chopper, and he's kind of he's reborn. He's on the up and up. He went from, just floating around, waiting to see women's panties, to really seeing a lot more in life. Then we have Giola on the other side. She's in the dark because she's serving Doflamingo and his evil, and so she's relishing in these dark ways, but that's what's keeping her over on that side. And Momo is kind of torn in between right now. He's small. He's got the foundation for royalty, but in both the fact that he's a child and in his demeanor towards everything that's going on around him. He also wants to make himself small because there's so much volatility around him that he's not ready to stand up tall yet. He's gonna be too much of a target on him. He's not confident enough. He doesn't have himself developed enough in his abilities, so he needs to maintain himself being small amidst all this chaos. Needs the dust to clear a little bit, and then he's ready to stand up tall.
Well, Eggy, I like to juxtapose everything that's in the same chapter together as if perhaps they're all together for a reason. And a little bit after this Giola mural, Doflamingo tells Law the story of the Void Century and how the 20 kings joined together as the world government, and their descendants are the celestial dragons of today. And I wonder if this mural maybe is a depiction of what happened in the Void Century.
The division between the awakened and the asleep, perhaps? Or just actually...
A literal depiction of what happened.
Sun exploding and splitting the world? I'm good about esoteric, like, dissertations of something that might not have any actual basis in reality, but when it's, substantive dissertions, I don't know, I'm a little more ignorant.
So when you say split the world, it makes me think the world very much could be changed, and maybe this is all the blood loss from constant bleeding making me delusional today. But we get a lot of content in these last few volumes about Zorro having a horrible sense of direction. And folks, the theory I posit to you today, what if Zorro has a perfect sense of direction? What if it's the world that is wrong? What if his sense of direction is innate in, his clan or whatever the fuck from how the world was before the Void Century? And maybe if the Earth gets tilted off its axis, wouldn't that cause all sorts of different climate problems and crazy weather? And we hear about north, south, east, and west blue, but I feel like every time I see this globe, north and east blue are both at the fucking top. Shouldn't north be at the top and south blue be at the bottom? Right? Did something happen that tilted the Earth 30 degrees, and that's how the world is so wrong, and Zorro's direction would actually be correct?
When you mention that the split of the world like that, and how it doesn't really make any sense too much, that is a very good point. Yeah, because I would say that now that you mention it, I'm not going to look up a map immediately or anything like that, but as I recall, I think it's like northeast, west, and south.
Yeah, it makes no fucking sense at all.
I mean, it's certainly a theory that I could get behind, because even when we get some information like this about the Void Century, I mean, would Doflamingo not have a vested interest, perhaps, in either trying to misdirect or just give, like, a little bit of information about it just to maybe... He's not coming forth with, like, a great intention and really trying to, like, explain and educate everything. It's just kind of like more of like a flex. It's an ego thing.
He's explaining why it's his destined right to be the king of Dressrosa, because it used to be his people's, and now for some reason he wants it back.
Exactly.
Okay, that might be enough about the mural here, but One Piece Scholars gets to studying. I just know most of the weird things I said are gonna be relevant. They gotta be. Where do we want to go from here, Eggy? Because there's still so much, and we're almost hitting an hour, so this might be a super packed Christmas special for the members.
Well, I enjoyed after we have this, we have the interaction with Giola and those on the Straw Hat crew. We have Doflamingo talking about the Celestial Dragons, and then after that, at 7:23, we have a great panel of Bartolomeo recognizing Zorro, like literally just paragraph packed fanboying, like sweating and crying and drooling all at the same time just to see him through the bars. I got a pretty good kick out of that.
And Sanji gets a pretty good kick out of Doflamingo at the end of that chapter, if I recall. And Doflamingo even puts respect on Sanji's name. He knows exactly who he is and says, "Oh, you're actually kind of strong." So Sanji fans, rejoice. You got something. He went up against one of the strongest warlords and was respected slightly. And Zoro even tried to go for Doflamingo here, but got blocked by a literal blind man. Zoro fans in the mud. Couldn't even touch Doflamingo. Couldn't even touch him.
Yeah, Fujitora, I mean, really, I want to say that he's stacking up to be absolutely horrific and extremely terrifying, but I mean, like, Doflamingo here too. Like,
he shoots poor Law to death, it seems. Is Law still alive? Do I have this up as a memorial for my 5-volume hero Law?
There's a panel that says something along the lines of like, he can still barely talk or something like that. So that I think they imply that he's still alive. Although it surprised me because if he gets shot point blank range, that he doesn't have any, devil fruit powers that are keeping him from, able to resist that. So
he could probably use his powers to remove the bullet and heal his wounds once he has enough stamina again, if ever. But if Dofi wanted to kill him, he should have went for the head, to be honest. I'm sure a bullet to the brain, much like a potential stab to the brain from... What was his name? God, there's so many new names in this arc. It's crazy.
My homeboy from the Beautiful Pirates.
He wasn't even in this goddamn volume.
Well, but he stabbed Don Chinchou in the head.
I know, but that's why I can't remember, because he wasn't even relevant this time.
Hey, he's in the Coliseum trying to get all the attention away from
no,
Rebecca.
that's right. Yeah, he does have a good moment here. He defends Rebecca, and it is very based. And I'm guessing he's going to be very relevant in the next volume, because I don't think we see him fall in the Coliseum, do we?
I believe that is correct.
What's that bastard's name?
And I would say that if he does end up falling into the chamber that we're introduced to for all the losers, they're getting dumped, he probably is going to be down there trying to, just peek up and wait for Luffy, so you just kill him if he ever falls down into the pit with everybody else. But I don't know, because, did
we find
Rebecca,
his name?
I guess Rebecca maybe would be more likely to lose out of...
Cavendish, Eggy. Do you think if it's Rebecca and Cavendish in the final two, he's not going to lay down for the lovely young lady? He's really going to attack her?
Well, his bloodlust for Luffy seemed to be like, the strongest of anybody. I mean, even Don Chinchou had his bloodlust that was squashed by getting his head resharpened. So,
and these are the only two named characters we know in Block D, right? So it's got to be one of them as the winner, just by the laws of storytelling. Is there somebody else we actually know?
Well, because it wasn't Bellamy and A, or no, it was Jesus Burgess and A, right? And
yeah.
Then Bartolomeo in Block B, Luffy and C, and then I feel like
Cavendish and Rebecca might be the only ones that I remember.
Mm-hmm. Also, yeah, like Suleiman, because I remember that was an Ottoman Empire ruler. But I think he was not particularly relevant among the contenders here in Block D. I just happen to recognize where the name was taken from.
So if we're going to have one winner and one of these characters become a toy, what makes more sense, Rebecca or Cavendish?
I feel like Rebecca being a toy and Cavendish with his bloodlust for Luffy. Because Rebecca, we get that Trook in this volume as well, that our hero, the Tin Soldier, that is, in fact, as was, I believe, previously predicted, that is actually Rebecca's father. after those horrible
That's
things
the
happened to
probably
mother.
one of the best reasons to be so invested in the life of a 6-year-old girl is to be her father. I mean, noble regardless, but just a sigh of relief that that's why he's doing this.
Well, and she still is, the princess that never was. So maybe
So he might have just been like a
dedicated,
really loyal soldier.
a very loyal subject of the Riku kingdom.
Yeah, let's talk about Riku real quick, because we all laughed when Luffy put in his fake name as Lucy. Oh, what idiots would fall for this. But here we are, we keep hearing about Riku in the background, and then we see mysterious gladiator Ricky. Ricky and Riku is about as dumb of a disguise name as Lucy and Luffy, but we didn't figure that out. Maybe Luffy wasn't so dumb after all.
Especially since I think the Japanese pronunciation between the two would be like Riki and Riku. So, I mean, yeah, literally just one sound change, just like Luffy. But, otherwise we had thought maybe it was the legendary warrior that no one remembered coming back in. Although, now that we get a little bit more context in this volume as well of what happens to those who meet the fate from sugar and become a toy, well, people just they forget about you. Everybody forgets all about you. So I think that might possibly inclinate us to what happened to our good friend, the Kyrios, the legendary hero. I'm thinking that he might be able to come back and reclaim his legendary status by the time this is all said and done.
Have we met Kyrios yet? Do you have any inclination if any of these toys might have been him?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I don't know if anybody has stuck out to me, but this was a bit of a timely revelation here within this volume. So there might have been something that I had seen before and I hadn't put two and two together yet at that time.
You spoke of sugar, and I think an important plot detail is that when she ate her hobby fruit, it froze her physical age. So a few volumes ago, we saw Doflamingo hanging out with a fucking 9-year-old girl, and we were like, oh, what's going on there? Almost more freaky from Oda here. I guess that 9-year-old girl is actually in her 20s. Why? Why? The fruit that lets you turn people into toys and they're forgotten by history. Why do you have to stay your age no matter what age you are when you eat it?
I mean, you would think that would very likely trend towards being eaten by a small child. Because, I mean, who else wants to... it's obviously got some malicious intent behind it, maybe with the fact that you're turning a human into a toy and, like, taking them out of civilization and existence and history forever. But I mean, still, kids want toys. I mean, if I was a kid and I could have like done something like, oh well, Eggy, this is gonna take this person out of existence in history, but you're gonna get a super awesome brand new video game, and I'd be like, hey, but that's not my friend. I don't care. Yeah, hey, free games, free toys, hell yeah. And then you end up being 20 years later, you're a
you would turn a random stranger into Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Yeah, I mean, if I was 9 years old...
That's even worse than being a toy slave!
Well, they could be the main character with, invincibility hacks or something.
You're turning them into the fucking CD-ROM, dude! You're just putting them in your PlayStation! They're not Nico or whatever fucking characters in that game.
I would take care to not break the disc. I wouldn't get it scratched up. I'd be... And, if it's a good game, I don't got to do it to that many people, either.
Only do it to on games that have a long runtime. So it's really worth that person's life. To this day, I would say that I would, if I could press a button and make like a really good, like, if we could get One Way Heroics 2 released, if I press the button and like 100 people just evaporate off the face of the earth to make that happen. I mean, it is what it is. Speaking of being a genocidal maniac freak, let's talk about Doflamingo, because we find out he is monetizing and profiting from the war efforts by selling weapons to every side of the conflict. Do any nations come to mind?
Well, I would say, I mean, unfortunately, America, but it's really, is that actually what we know as America, or is it, America as a foreign subsidiary of Israel?
They probably do it too.
Well, what I enjoy, this is just a headline that came out recently where we sold, well, I should say, I don't know how much we sold versus we just gave all the money to Israel to buy all these weapons to fight the Palestinians. And now we're also supposed to be allegedly like giving them a ton of money to renovate all the like hospitals and orphanages they bombed as they come back and are conquering that land into new Israeli buildings. So we selling them the weapons to kill everybody and then selling them all the stuff to build their new buildings on top of these corpses.
Are we selling, or are we just giving away our money to them?
I think it's something like we give them tons of money and then they buy it from the American companies who are probably all ran by Israeli CEOs.
Yeah, they're just recycling the money among the rich after they steal it from the poor. And is Oda coincidentally including this element of the story in the same volume as the reparations explanation? Like, why Oda's diving into so many economic ideas now, Eggy? What are these societal implications? Does he want us to do away with Israel and give reparations to all former slaves? Because whatever race I am, I'm sure my people were enslaved a million years ago, so I'll take some money as well, if there's no expiration date.
I do like the whole premise here of, so King Riku, like you said, they have been ruling for 800 years. After the Void Century, the Doflamingo's people, they went to be part of the world government. And how Doflamingo comes back is like a hostile takeover. Like, give me all the money in the land and I will, sell you back your own nation that you've been running for 800 years. I feel like there's, and then he ends up getting snuck. Like, everybody comes to pool all their everything that they got, everything in their pockets. They all come to dump it down. And then Doflamingo uses his string fruit to puppeteer the king to start killing people in front of all of the civilians, just killing innocent people after they've given everything to him.
And Riku's like weeping and saying, "No, please stop me, kill me, please kill me," as he's stabbing and shooting his flaming arrows. One of the most brutal things we've ever seen in One Piece. My... a man weeping and begging to be killed as he is forced to slaughter the people he loves. Forget about Bellamy breaking Pajit's back. Whatever his name was, Jeet, I guess. I was only half racist.
And we get introduced, obviously we've known some of Doflamingo's power throughout the several volumes, but...
Yeah, would you have guessed he was Spider-Manning on clouds the entire time?
Telling Nami to use her weather powers to keep the clouds away because that's how he... It's very bizarre. I guess it makes sense, but...
We've seen entire islands on top of clouds, so some of them have to be dense enough for just puny little Doflamingo to swing on.
It's like these... like the... excuse me, these two fruits together, like, oh yes, here's your poi creation fruit out of humans that also takes their existence out of humanity and keeps you a child forever, and here's your string fruit that you can Spider-Man swing from clouds all across the world, and then also puppeteer people, like move their limbs like a fucking ragdoll simulator or something. Source animation movie.
And I think it goes to show that it doesn't matter what the fruit is. It matters like the power and creativity of who has it, because maybe most people who get the string fruit aren't gonna be smart enough to puppeteer people or to Spider-Man around. Maybe they just fucking generate shitty little strings and it's completely useless. And it's something like the jacket fruit. Like, would you expect a jacket fruit to be 1,000,000 times weaker than a string fruit? Maybe not, but it is.
Or for the fruit to turn you into a human jacket that just like fuses with who wears it.
Yeah, it's just like, I guess it's what Oda wants to do with it at the end of the day.
I kind of feel almost like, since we're getting a little esoteric here, like with the mural and everything too, that we know this has been from way back with Crocodile back in Alabasta. You have a devil fruit power. You can train this power. Like, you have an inherent thing, and you can train and get more and more proficient with it. I would wonder perhaps if this is sort of a similar thing, like maybe level 1 string fruit was just like Spider-Maning like on branches in your village on the island or whatever. But Doflamingo, coming from this prestigious lineage, maybe he was surrounded by people who know how to min-max, how to really biohack these devil fruits, to where maybe he was getting some of this training on how to puppeteer people from a young age and really learning and expanding like the talent tree, so to speak, of this fruit, which has then allowed him to do these things that maybe would not be immediate, because I think he says as much. He calls out his attack as Parasite String, so it's like, that's seems to be like a different shade of the base fruit, like, that he can work with, in the same way that Luffy has his array of attacks and abilities that continues to grow as we go.
It's like Luffy's gear too, where most people with a rubber fruit probably would not figure out that they can use their rubberized body to accelerate their blood flow and make steam come out of their body and be way faster and stronger for a little bit. But Luffy and Doflamingo and all these Crocodile, they think of creative ways to utilize their power. And you mentioned Crocodile. There was one moment I never picked up on before, when Robin and Usopp and Frankie, they get or whoever's there, they all get explained what Doflamingo did, and it's literally the same exact plan Crocodile had for Alabasta, as if he like heard about what Doflamingo did and wanted to copy it. Oh, I'll become the hero of the country and frame the king to look like a bastard. He's doing the same thing. And after hearing the story, there's this panel of Nico Robin with like 2 different dialogue boxes, and like in the second one she's just thinking ... exclamation point, like she's realizing she was part of the same plot doing this to a different country, and she's very furious after that moment with Doflamingo and says, oh, I can't let him get away with this, we have to stay and fight. So it's very slight, 2 or 3 panels of storytelling for Robin that I think go a long way.
And I mean, I'm a little bit removed from Alabasta now, so the insidiousness of it, as pertinent as it was then, might have wound down a little bit in the meantime. So to see it kind of in this way, especially where we're going from just a critique of leadership and this drought and everything that's going on, that to literally just like murdering and slaughtering everybody with giant swords in the town square with everybody there, and then all of the entire Doflamingo crew just walking in and being like, oh, I know we're pirates, but
we're the heroes, hey, my 3 dudes will take out the whole army. That sounded impressive until I realized Doflamingo might have just had the soldiers under control so they can't fight back. Not so impressive. So who's a bigger bastard, Crocodile or Dofi?
Well, I think I'm gonna have to, as it stands, give it to Dofi, just because, like I said, the drought is it's very cruel, especially over that prolonged period. Like, you're really like,
that big fat guy was digging so long that it became a skinny, shriveled up old man. Could you imagine, Eggy? That's more brutal than my king stabbed me. I expect that.
Yeah, swift death, but I feel like maybe the spectacle was greater. And also, just because we've had a little bit of a working with Crocodile now, ever since back then, we had a little bit more of like maybe a humanizing experience with him at Ennie's lobby and everything. I should say Impel Down, rather.
Yeah, I want to speak on that for a second. So, in the reader's eyes, perhaps Crocodile is somewhat redeemed because he assists our hero Luffy. Can you see at some point in the future the same for Doflamingo, since he has a parallel storyline to Crocodile?
Well, if I'm going to be fair with everything that Crocodile did to Alabasta and willing to kill everybody with false flag attacks and really a bastard in everything that he was doing there.
And Mr. 2 especially, like, was personally impersonating the king. And then we love him as one of the greatest men to ever live. He,
Right.
she, men. So, yeah, maybe Doflamingo, despite all the horrible cruelty and evil, maybe he'll ally with Luffy for one moment. Who could say?
He's referred to as the heavenly demon multiple times in this volume, and I mean, you can't really just like maybe necessarily exclude somebody with that kind of aura, that kind of presence, but I mean, we'd have to get all of his underlings taken care of, make them no longer any kind of threat, get the toy people back to their human form, get the Tontada Revolution successfully achieved, and then maybe sometime down the line we could see about, maybe coming together with them as necessary for maybe like one particular mission with that same kind of gravity as Impel Down had. It was kind of like really nothing much to say about it. You weren't going to be picking and choosing under those circumstances. So I'll be fair about it and say, yeah, maybe one day it could happen. But right now he is a real piece of work, no doubt.
What does it say of Oda for him to imply that even a man as dastardly as Doflamingo is capable of slight redemption? Is that a good or a bad quality to see in the human spirit?
Well, I think if I want to give my personal opinion,
That's what I want to hear.
If somebody like cuts me off in traffic at a bad time, I'm like, okay, this person's beyond redemption, time to die. But I think that in a maybe a perfect world or in a fantasy scenario where things could be tweaked a little bit, I think that I would like somebody to be able to kind of run their full course and see where things go and not have a complete rounding off of their character, of their personality, of their presence, just because it might feel better at that time to kind of just get them totally wiped out.
I say,
but in my day-to-day life, though, yeah.
If you magically puppeteer anybody to murder even one human, execution. Doflamingo needs to be killed. I don't need his redemption. I don't care if it ends up his power is absolutely essential for the events in the final arc. If that ends up being one of those things, I don't care. Kill him now, Luffy. Kill him before the end of the Dressrosa arc after this flashback.
Kind of like how right now, you might have heard about the Weather Underground. What was that, in the late 60s? It was this terrorist group that they bombed government buildings like 100 times, and all these people got arrested. They got sentenced to decades of prison, and now a lot of these people that were they got out and they were given like honorary doctorates from universities, and they have like all these speaking, like these political activism jobs now where they like work for universities and for different think tanks or whatever, and they all live cushy, basically provided for lives because the people who ended up in these positions of power while they were spending decades in prison happened to agree with the political attacks that they were doing at the time. So it's like, yeah, if you don't kind of, well, what was the point of it? So like, obviously these were horrible things, and a lot of people who are formed on those attacks say that these people should have never maybe even made it to the prison, but they should have had life at the very least. But due to the circumstances and the power structure, they get out and they get the red carpet rolled out for them. So it's certainly not fair at all, and it's detestable and it's sickening for these people to continue on, and for Doflamingo to continue on with the untold suffering that he's put on, hundreds if not thousands of people. But at the same time, it's kind of like,
yeah, Crocodile was doing this to a nation of tens of millions of people. Right? Like, Oda went crazy with the population numbers of Alabasta. Dressrosa doesn't seem that big.
Mm-hmm. Although just like even the pit of losers, when they fall in, they're being kept for their eventual toyification. That seemed like a pretty big ass chamber. The field out with the Tontadas seems pretty big. Like, yeah, it might be. But yeah, not millions, if that's what Alabasta said.
I mean, the state of Iowa has, 3 or 4 million people in it? And I doubt any of these islands are as big as the state of Iowa. Maybe Alabasta if it has 10 million. That might be as big as Iraq. It took them like weeks to cross it.
I feel like Alabasta could be a couple Iowas wide, based on like a map that I've seen of it before, as I recall.
Should we do the walk from one end of Iowa to the other end challenge to see if we could survive walking through Alabasta?
Yeah, it might be good for me. I could probably use the exercise.
How long will that take? 10, 15 days? I'll have to Google Maps that. What do you think of Sanji? He gets respect from Doflamingo, but then Doflamingo can use his string to freeze Sanji in place. If he can do this to a character as strong as Sanji, could he do it to Luffy or Zoro?
I do feel like, that Doflamingo's power right now, we're going to need a little bit of a breakthrough. I think we had our time skip breakthrough has been carrying us, I think, as far as power scaling. We've been able to walk over everything. But since we're seeing Sanji begin to have some real problems, and Zoro with Fujitora, like real hard counters, I think Luffy's going to need to bust out his next technique in line, because
if only there was somebody who could maybe create a barrier to stop these strings from hitting Luffy. Can we find anybody like that?
I think I might recall that somebody does have that, somebody who also uses his barrier in this volume, not to just protect a Straw Hat friend, but...
A friend? Who? Bellamy?
Well, I mean...
let me set this up. This is interesting. Bellamy's on a mission to kill Luffy so he can become an official member of the Doflamingo family. But along the way, this fucking shark-toothed, high-heel-wearing boy, what was his name?
Something with a D.
I don't care for this character.
Dellinger.
Dellinger, yeah, he says, oh, actually, since you lost in the tournament, you're a loser. We don't need weakness in the Doflamingo family, so they sent me just to kill you anyway. You're not going to be able to stop Luffy. I'm just going to kill you. And then at some point, he gets protected by homeboy Barto with the barrier fruit. And Barto's explanation is, we fought together in the Colosseum, so we're brothers in combat, something to that effect. So I guess the reasoning is I have a respect for you as my fellow combatant. And this guy, I didn't see him in any Colosseum. Who's this random fucking guy? I have no respect for him at all, so I might as well protect you from him. That's the way I see it. And it ends up Bellamy's going to guide Luffy out of the Colosseum. So Bellamy's going to kill Luffy, but due to Barto's kindness and friendliness that was influenced by Luffy, Bellamy is now going to help Luffy instead. And it's another one of those things about like the long journey of life, and you never know how the way you influence people years ago, it might save your life and get you directions instead years later. So you never know. Yeah, try to influence people in a good way, because again, that road of life is very long.
Well, and I also think that it's to do. I do agree with all of that, but I think Bellamy's decision also is weighted by the fact that, he placed his faith in Doflamingo. This was his second chance. Then Dellinger's like, oh yeah, we decide you suck, so I'm just gonna kill you right now, and whatever. I'm a real Doflamingo guy, you know what I'm saying? I'm really, I got rank, you don't, you're just a little peon that you thought you were gonna get in, but yeah, I'm just gonna kill you. So I think maybe he might have possibly, got it through his head there that, and I encourage anybody about this is something I always say. This is what could have helped King Ricky. He could have, said, hey, this Doflamingo's no good. I can't trust him. People, they come back begging to somebody who's lording power over them, somebody who has a reputation for cruelty and for sadism and for just being, bloodlust to the utmost. This is not somebody who is going to, give you a legitimate goodwill. You should not be taking this person at their word. So I'm thinking Bellamy maybe he's getting the picture after, that attempt on his life, perhaps, maybe.
Hopefully Bellamy is Team Luffy from here on out.
We got that history, and hopefully it's no mystery no more. Let's keep on building up with people that we know to the top, baby.
Meanwhile, the resolution of the Vivre card to Zhao, or Zo, however you want to pronounce it, it pays off, but I wonder if Oda was hedging his bets, because like chapter 701 or 702, I pointed out, oh, Law is giving the paper to Zhao, to Nami right now. Does that imply Law's not making it back to the ship to give this to Nami later? But no, he does make it back to the ship, and he even says here, yeah, Nami, remember I gave you that paper to Zhao. So I wonder, Oda certainly can't have every single minuscule plot point planned out, months in advance. So I wonder if he was hedging his bets in that earlier scene, like, oh, I don't know where Law's gonna be as this arc goes on, so I might as well do this now. Because honestly, he could have just done it here. He could have gave the Vivre card paper here, and it would have made just as much sense, if not more.
And I wouldn't doubt that at some points maybe he's going to want to play with our minds a little bit. Like, if we get too formulaic in his writing to where we're being able to predict everything perfectly, like, oh, well, this is how this was, or he's doing this here, I think it'll make sense that this is what should happen. Maybe
he likes to throw red herrings in there. Just sometimes he needs to fill up a chapter, so here's a random panel to get your mind a jogging.
Right, it could just be a small, like half or quarter panel, just something in there to make you think that we're going one direction, and he could give you a little change up later on. But not, and this is something that isn't such a important plot point that him doing this made some grand change. It was just something that would make you start feeling a certain type of way back in those early 700s. And then you get to this chapter and you realize, okay. So,
what do you make of this? Sanji, Nami, Chopper, Momo, Brook, they're being attacked on all sides by Fighting Fish, Doflamingo, and then fucking Big Mom's ship pulls up with Eggman and Lion Guy, still pissed about Fishman Island. And they have no choice but to coup de burst the fuck out of here and move on to the next island, wherever that may be. Is this like unprecedented, sort of? I guess back at Baratier, Nami took the ship to the next island, but that was a very different scenario. Like half of the crew is leaving Dressrosa. What do you make of this, Eggy? Are we going to continue with them on their adventure, or are they just gone for the arc?
Well, I feel like I think this is going to be a real split. I don't think it's going to double back faking on us like they get out and spin right back around. What I could see maybe is if Big Mom's ship does not give chase and does continue approaching Dressrosa, what I could see happening is Luffy is still part of his tournament. He's doing his thing over here. The Tantara Revolution is the gears are turning there. If they're going to go up against Doflamingo and overthrow him as is their slated goal, what I could see happening is they're going off. Big Mom's coming in. There's going to be some sort of interaction there with her people and Doflamingo's people. It might cause the finale or semifinals or something of the tournament to be kind of thrown out of whack. There might be some crazy stuff going on. I think as these gears are turning and these moving parts are turning, that could provide an opportunity then for the Straw Hat members that are on the Thousand Sunny that were just escaping to save their own skin. Tactical evasive maneuver. They could then maybe get flipped back around and kind of come back reborn, kind of bring up the rear, so to speak.
Well, Luffy does order them go to Zhao or go to Zo.
I guess if there's enough time frame and Zhao is not so far away, maybe they could make contact there.
And Eggy froze just a little bit, so I'm gonna dance and do a song. Until my dear friend Eggy comes back on Big Mom's ship, there he is. Continue, Eggy.
I guess I have perhaps heard maybe might be a cultural osmosis moment that Dressrosa might be a bit of a hefty arc, perhaps.
I think I told you exactly how many weeks we would be here.
Yep, I think you did. So with that being the case, then also maybe we have enough time to go where the tournament could go as maybe that could be halted by the things that are ongoing with Sabo arrival.
I should clarify about the tournament, and it is at the very, very end of this volume, but Luffy gives his Lucy costume to Sabo and leaves the Coliseum with Kinemon and Zoro in their like fish costumes that Kinemon, I assume, created with his devil fruit. So it's not like Luffy is still fighting in the tournament. He's left that in the hands of Barto and Sabo.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that does explain it a little bit for me. I was a little bit like, wait, why am I seeing like Luffy's backside, but also he's in the fish at the same time? Like,
yeah.
So that was a little bit of a misinterpretation on my part.
It is very confusing, to be honest.
The Thousand Sunny Straw Hat members reaching Zhao, maybe reconnecting with the lost Wano swordsman of Kinemon and Mononosuke's party, and then maybe they could go back to Dressrosa from there, and there might be enough going on over this period of time to sort of I think there's probably going to be some combat. Some people might be getting taken out of commission. Some crazy factors that I might not be able to know for sure yet, but it's going to come down to the toy factory, having Big Mom and Doflamingo and Fujitora all there and all combat-minded, violence-minded against their enemies that are on Dressrosa. I feel like that could, so some people might be getting their butts kicked, but I think that, and when it all comes together the way that it should be, that's what I see maybe being a part of it, is the return from Zhao with the swordsman.
Okay, we need Beppo the polar bear to come help us defeat Doflamingo. That is Eggy's lock of the week. Lock it in, folks.
That's right.
I'm looking at my notes if there are any other little moments I enjoyed. And I do like when the Marines, they're waiting outside the Coliseum and they look at the list of all the names of all the combatants and they don't recognize any of the names anymore. And the main guy's like, wait, who were we trying to arrest? And seeing this devil fruit work in action is truly horrifying. This might be, not my worst nightmare. I don't care if people forget me, but the idea of like my friends and family disappearing from my mind and I don't even know that it happened. That's rough, because that's real life. That's like dementia, Alzheimer's shit.
Alzheimer's,
this could happen to me. This is rough.
Yeah, it's going to be a point where, well, hopefully this never happens to us. I've made a point to try to avoid using aluminum products as much in my life as possible after I got told like 16 years ago that aluminum being absorbed into the skin gives you Alzheimer's. But
I heard that abusing alcohol and marijuana makes your brain super strong to prevent Alzheimer's, so we're on a good trajectory.
As long as you're using the blunt wrap, it's got some nicotine in it. That's like,
that's what will protect you.
I've been drinking these energy drinks like 2 a day for the last 15 years. That's caffeine. That's a neuro enhancer.
Vitamin B. I get 10,000% of that every day.
That's right. So I think I'll be in a good shape. But yeah, there might be.
We better finish One Piece quick because you're going to forget what's been happening. Uh-oh. Anything else from this volume, Eggy? I like Caesar Clown when he realizes Big Mom's coming for him. He's like, oh my god, save me! Anything but her! He's pissed off a lot of people. And I guess really the volume ends with everybody going into motion to either destroy the factory or just march on the palace to save Princess Law, who has been kidnapped.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when we talk about, for instance, how we were saying, that some unforgivableness of certain characters. Like what Caesar was just doing on Park Hazard was horrific. His experimentation on children and, selling this Land of the Dead bioweapon to on the black market, just absolutely horribly sickening and just repulsive. And how he's just basically been like a tag along hostage for the last 2-3 volumes now, and it's kind of taken a little bit of the intensity and the potency out of his villainousness to basically just be at everybody's behest constantly. So
I would like it if like Hitler was taken hostage and used as like a comic relief character for a few volumes in the World War II manga. That would have been funny. That's what he deserves. He's a horrible piece of shit. Let's drag him through the mud and make him suffer and scream in horror.
The Mexican white supremacists, they're kidnapping Hitler to bring him down to the German Argentinians with their leader Hans Hansington that's ruling down there. And they keep running into other groups of minorities, like they're going through like the Jewish enclave, and he's like getting picked up and stolen from them. They got to go get him back.
We will write the script, and somebody who's a good manga artist, make it happen.
That's right. Viva la Hitler. Or actually, that might be praising him out. I don't know Spanish too good, but I
think that just means long live, and maybe we want him to live a long life as a slave, so he can really suffer for what he did.
You can get down to German Argentinians and have a sit down with Hans Hansington and the council.
I think we covered this volume very thoroughly, Eggy, and we even answered a bunch of fan questions. I know you want to go to your family for Christmas, but do you have time for more of these virgin questions?
I'm down to knock down a few more.
Okay, you're going to have to use your imagination for this one from Pig Slam Peter. Picture this, you are 13 and extremely autistic. Okay, can you even imagine that?
Well, it's tough, but somehow I think I can.
It's 2014, and it's I think around when this volume's coming out, right? Like 2014-ish?
Okay.
You just got Tumblr for the first time and are heavily invested in One Piece. As an autistic 13-year-old, which One Piece character are you kinning? By which I mean, which one do you believe is literally you in every way?
I feel like with where I was at that point in my life, I'll use something that was a little more, because like in 2004 when I was 13, I like to use MSN Messenger, and you got your profile picture you'd set on there. You could have like a little song thing on there. It was some cool stuff back then. I feel like I'd be coming like Zorro. I feel like that's who I would be using to represent myself, because I got to be a little more self-aware and self-depreciating in my later teenage years, to where I'd pick somebody maybe like a little more comic relief. But when I was 13, I was really about being a big, strong, bad man, like no, it's like getting in fights at school and all kinds of things like that. And so that's just where I was at. I think
that's your answer for 2003, you said. So there's no character introduced within 10 years after that would have usurped it for also 13-year-old Eggy?
Well, I'm just kind of like taking myself, like because what he's presenting, I'm just kind of like rewinding the setting to be a little more fitting to where I was actually at, but with all the the same actual 2014 progression here in mind. But it'd still be Zorro, I think. Yeah, I think that's because I feel like he's.
I wouldn't go on Facebook and see Eggy Rodriguez with a King Neptune profile picture.
Nah, I don't think so. I want somebody who's like
nobody in history has ever done
especially
that.
Time skip with like the scar and stuff like that. I feel like it really would have spoken to me at that time, at that age.
A Zorro bro. Okay, Panic wants to know, what is your current single most favorite moment in the series?
I think, Skype I've always had a particular fondness for. I do keep thinking back on the, the night of the, when the spirit comes to work on the ship in the night, and how they have like sort of a celebration prior to that. I like really, my favorite things are when everybody's partying and drinking and eating and having a jolly old time. I would think maybe the Brooks Pirate Shanty. That's something I enjoy. Like, there's so many things and so many to pick from that are so exceptional. So I kind of go for what speaks to my heart and my soul the most. And I feel like this sort of uncharted territory, still being able to, get together and make work what you have at your disposal to kind of have some cheer and some relief. So the little campfire song situation in Skypiea is one that still rings out to me.
A bunch came to mind for me, and I don't know how to pick the best one, but I like the reveal in Sanji's childhood flashback that Zeph gave him all the food and ate his leg instead. That's very good. I like Luffy climbing Drum Mountain, carrying Sanji and Nami. I like Luffy ringing the bell with Eneru's body to prove to his dear friend down below that his ancestor was not a liar. But so many, probably every arc has like 3 amazing moments.
And I would say, the bomb diffusion at Alabasta at the last second, everything to do with that, like to the minutes.
That was Mickey, I think we agreed.
Were we on Mickey yet at that point? I feel like Mickey came around.
Yeah, probably not. I think we got a comment around Alabasta, mad that we called something Mickey, but maybe we called it Disney back then.
That could be. I guess when it's all said and done, yeah, it's really, there's just such a mountain of them. I'd probably have to really sit and piece through them, but just things that are to do with like exploration and joy and reverie.
What about Sniper King shooting down the flag when they're declaring the war on the government?
I guess that probably is honestly my top, just because I love to burn flags and I like, I like revolution and going against the man. So that's pretty true.
If you do this, you're declaring war against the entire world. And Luffy, bring it on! Yeah! Sad Hippo, which One Piece villain could you defeat that has a devil fruit?
Well, there's got to be one. Well, I guess not necessarily.
Luffy beat Buggy by just kicking him in the nuts.
Yeah, probably the earlier ones would be where I would think of, but I feel like Buggy could still throw down. He could be sending his buggy balls at you.
Yeah, he stabbed Zoro in the back. And scars on the back are a swordsman's shame, so he shamed Zoro.
Fists with blades coming out, being chop shot at you.
I'd be terrified. I wouldn't be going for his nuts.
Captain Kuro,
He doesn't even have a fruit. He could just do that. He could just do that shit.
That's very
That's so stupid. Is that a CP9 ability? Cat out of the bag technique? We've probably talked about this before.
I feel like I could shoot Kako, or am I remembering him right?
Kaku, the draft man?
I feel like I could shoot him in the neck from like a long distance with like a rifle. So that's probably my first, that's like where my mind would go to, maybe the most. I know he's got a lot of giraffe powers, but if I could get the drop on him, I think that's probably my best bet.
If you have a sea stone bullet, you could probably beat any of these people.
That is true.
The Marines need to invest. And there are a lot more questions, but this is a long episode and we got shit to do. So keep the questions coming in, and every episode we'll probably answer maybe 5 more. Or maybe if we're bored, even more than that. Eggy, any final thoughts or predictions on what will happen next in Dressrosa?
So I think that Luffy, since now that I understand a little bit better, I mean, I knew that he was sneaking out, but I didn't understand it. Why I was seeing, I guess, now Sabo possibly from the back. I thought, like, oh, now that I got a better understanding, anyway, I think Luffy is going to go and help partake of the Tanada Revolution. And I think that, as I mentioned, I think that those on the Thousand Sunny are going to continue on towards Zou. I don't think Big Mom's going to give chase. I think she's going to come and land on the shore, and there's going to be some diplomacy there about what has been going on. She might even try to school Doflamingo a little bit. I don't know, because where's the shit you told me you're going to be doing for me? It's a little bit hectic. I guess more so was that he's working with Kaido for his... But I think she's probably pulling up for a reason.
He sells weapons to everybody, Doflamingo, so anybody could be pissed at him. But I think Big Mom might have been coming specifically for the Straw Hats at that point. I'm not sure. They might have said when they pulled up.
I just don't know if they're going to give chase, but let's say if they do, I don't know, because they did coup de burst towards their destination. I still feel like that I could see them reaching Zou and reconnecting with Kinemon's friend that has been missing. And then I think Luffy and joining the Tentata Revolution. That's kind of a couple things I see coming up here in the near future for sure. To be fair, I have a little bit of this congestion, head cold kind of thing going on, so I might not be thinking as clearly as I maybe am some other times, but I feel like those are speaking to me as future things that are going to be on the next serving.
One other detail we get in this volume that I think is another Chekhov's gun for the end of the series, because I don't know why else you would say this. Violet, with her all-seeing eye, has a range of 2,500 miles. How the fuck... It's relevant here because she was supposed to be watching for the Straw Hat ship, so that's supposed to imply she could see them coming a long ways away, but she chose not to because she's secretly the princess of Dressrosa and she's not all about this Doflamingo life. But I don't see that power of 2,500 miles range of sight, bird's eye view. I don't see that being relevant to the rest of this storyline because we're just on this one island for now. Is that going to be relevant in the end game of the story? Is this character or somebody with her power going to be around and needing to watch and narrate battles all around the world? Because I don't know how many miles this possibly tilted planet is, but 2,500 seems pretty fucking big. How big's our planet? 4,000 or something?
I think 2,500 is like maybe about from coast to coast in America.
That's a big fucking range. Yeah, what is the diameter in miles of the Earth? 8,000, 6,000? I thought it was a number like that. And I did look up if we wanted to walk all of Iowa, it's about 320 miles, and it would take us maybe 2 weeks. So if you're down for a 2-week hike in the most boring state.
Hey, you know what? Like I said, I think I could use the exercise. The Earth's diameter is allegedly about 7,900 miles.
Okay. And that's flying through space at 67,000 miles per hour?
I guess, yeah, U.S. coast to coast is roughly 2,800 to 3,000 miles. So most of the U.S. you can see at once. I feel like the power, to answer the question, it seems like it's extremely useful for any kind of tactical engagement. If you just see the entire enemy's army and everything, or any of your opponents from any distance away, know everything they're doing. I mean, it might not save you if they're coming at you and gonna just completely crush you, but I feel like it'd be very helpful, though.
And I have to wonder why Oda made the range so incredibly large. Will it ever be relevant again, or was that just a fun detail? And does her power let her throw giant tier whales at people? Like, this power is crazy.
I'm saying, like, you know, these fruits, they got the talent trees branching off. They're just gonna start packing more and more varieties of abilities under each one, it seems like. And I guess we gotta start tempering our expectations. If somebody's coming in with the devil fruit, they're gonna have quite the assortment of possible abilities.
Yeah, Jacket Guide needs to branch out and think of some other uses. But we're going really long today. Eggy, anything you want to plug?
Well, hey, you know what? I'm sure I'll be posting up the Christmas spread for all the members. Make sure to go follow me at 2eggwhite on Twitter. And anybody who's hearing this, when it's a free episode, make sure you go follow and go tab through my media so you can go find whatever I did post for my Christmas spread. I don't post any nude chicks or anything like that, no hentai or whatever. So
what the
safe
hell?
For work.
What's the point? Heartsy and I started the Boruto Virgins Book Club podcast, and we actually both enjoyed Volume 1. So you don't have to read Boruto. We're going to explain it to you. Go check out those episodes, if any are out by now. And I think that's it for me. So see you for Volume 74 next week, which I think if you're a paid member, that'll still be this year. So even by the end of 2025, you'll still get one more episode, I believe, unless we fuck up. Peace, people. One Piece people. Don't want to fuck that up.